First of all, drinking ain't healthy, right? It's not a good coping mechanism, but it wasn't really solving the problem. So why am I still doing it? Some of that stuff's been there for years. Like there's a lot of issues that we think, oh, it's been 2 years. It's not bothering me anymore. It's bothering you. And then I get on here and I'm trying to be so real all the time. Oh, I'm in the realest way. This is in the realest way. But is it in the realest way? If everything in your life is fake. Welcome back to In the Realest Way Podcast by Marqes Smith, where we talk about so many topics in the realest way. On this podcast episode titled, I'm Worthy, I'm going to reveal a lot of things that I've been keeping to myself. I'm going to talk about just the crisis that I've had in my life. I've always had the, worry of being enough. Did the people around me think I was enough? Was I doing enough? It became something that I was obsessed with. I would look for, places to put myself to where I could feel worthy. Like I was doing something that I was helping somebody else and that I could feel like I was helping myself too, Like I was helping them, and then in doing that, I got that pleasure of feeling like, I did something. Everything correlates. And in this podcast, I'm going to talk about issues that occurred when I was in, from basic training. My life really started once I decided that I no longer had to live the way I was living before. Like I was really programmed my entire high school career. I'm not saying there wasn't a version of me in there, but I'm saying I don't even know who that person is anymore. And that person has been gone for quite some time. But after I left high school and I went on my own journey, that's truly when I was myself. And even then, those memories are so faint. So I want to start off with some truths, right? Issues that I've dealt with and that I'm still going through, with the fact that I obsessed over almost everything. When I find a passion in something, I will continually do it over and over and over until the obsession is gone. And then when it's gone, either I go on a little hiatus, I just stop doing it for a minute. And after I'm just chilling, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to, either try something else or do the same thing again until, how you eat the same food over and over and over and over, and your stomach, your body's like, ugh. Like now you hate the food. I used to love Cheez-Its. Now, oh my goodness, I hate Cheez-Its now because I used to eat them so much. Like I used to obsess over certain things and do it all the time. And just like with food, my body just got tired of it. It did. But it wasn't just a food thing or, obsessing over a video game or a hobby. I obsessed over people to a way to where it was hard for me to make, friends, or have a romantic relationship. It was hard for me to do those things because first I idolized those people and I expected them to be this person. And even when they didn't show up that way, there was either a backlash of why aren't you this person, or what am I doing that you can't be this person? I was in a very serving mindset. I was trying to serve people. I was trying to be of service. And throughout the entire process, I was drained. I was tired. And it didn't make it any better that I built my whole life around people when I was in high school. Like it was always about other people, and I was always doing something for other people. Even when it looked like I was winning for myself, it was for somebody else. The accolades I got were for other people. It wasn't for me. I could care less about the achievements. I cared more about the congratulations, the applause of doing something that nobody else really ever done. I've done the things, right? I'm willing to put in the work, but the main thing that was causing these issues was the fact of where I was placing it. Yeah, you're doing these things, you're accomplishing these crazy feats in high school, right? You're doing it, right? But what are the intentions behind why you're doing something? Because again, you could be doing the most positive thing in the world, but your intentions could be negative. And then that's when you question yourself and like, hey, am I actually doing this, for the right reasons? What are the reasons why I'm doing something? Just because you're doing a good thing doesn't mean you're doing a good thing, okay? And it's like, what do you mean? Like I just said, just because your actions are showing that you're doing a good thing, or I'm trying to show that I'm a good person, doesn't always correlate to who you are. Self-reflect. Because sometimes we just do things so that we won't be deemed a bad person. But again, I obsessed over that. I obsessed over people. And when I left high school, I thought I was okay, but I clearly wasn't. I dealt with so many issues going through my transition of joining the Army and meeting people and going through the same struggle again, like finding that group of people that I was down for, and I just loved them so much that when it was time to leave, I went over the same cycle of, just feeling so drained. I mean, I felt so drained. And when I tell you, it wasn't until recent time when I was in Korea and I was coming here, I was like, hey, I need help, right? Because it's so easy for me to sit on this podcast and tell you and everybody else that these issues that I'm going through and I'm experiencing, oh, I dealt with them. Oh, I'm just, healed. I'm giving you advice and I'm just this perfect person. And that is far from the truth. I didn't even realize I had a drinking problem. Me, right? Right? I didn't even know I had a drinking problem until, it hit me in my face. You have a drinking problem. You have a coping mechanism that is not healthy. And these things have meaning, like once I transitioned and I went to Korea, I started drinking. Why? Because I lost in my mind, I lost everything that I had before, right? Then I got there, I met amazing people. I mean, amazing people. I got there and, I stopped drinking as much. I didn't drink as much. Then I left and I came here and that urge, started to happen again. I'm like, okay, well, clearly there's a pattern, self-reflection and asking yourself, why am I feeling this, led me to, the problem. Because we keep on talking about, and I made a reel about that. I don't know if it was a podcast, correlated to a podcast, or it was just a reel, but the conversation of, we keep talking about people who are alcoholic or who are, drug addicts, or, they're obsessed over, pornography, all these different things. We talk about them, right? Oh, this is what the problem is, right? It's the drugs, it's the alcohol, it's, the pornography, right? We're looking at the problem like that's the problem, but it's not, right? The issue is, unhealed trauma. The issue is all these different things that we're not talking about. They're not talking about. The drinking and stuff is not the problem, right? Okay? They're coping mechanisms. Everybody, we all have coping mechanisms. Some people, they would rather shun other people for what they're doing rather than looking at their self. And I used to do that too. I know some people who will gossip the entire day. You know how draining it is for me specifically, especially me, to sit here and be like, well, what's going on in your life? And just, sitting on the phone 24/7 talking about people. That's a coping mechanism. You're not willing to face your life, so you infatuate over other people's life, right? Reality TV, you obsessed over, these people and celebrities and influencers so that you don't have to deal with what you have going on. That's why you see so many people under other people's comments. They're asking for help. There's been so many people that comment under my posts on my YouTube. At first, when I got my first hate comment on Facebook, they showed a picture of this man. y'all, it was of course, racism, right? But um I told myself I was okay with it, but it really, really bothered me. And I was always the person like, what? When I get my first hate comment, girl, bye. Anyways, but it really did bother me because you didn't expect it. I didn't expect it. And I got hate comments, more and more recently. But they're all just because they're not really built upon by anything. So I commented, I comment to almost every single one, right? Somebody was like, they just sent gay, right? They said it numerous times before. Gay, just gay. Okay, yes. Thank you. Okay. Like, is that supposed to be harmful or hurtful? I don't get it. I mean, the younger me, when I was in not high school. Let me tell you a story. It was when we had a different band director. I was in middle school, I believe. I was somewhere. I was young, right? And I came into the band. I don't know if I told this story before, but I came into the band and I was just sitting there and on my stand or like in close proximity to my stand. Because, in band, you may not sit in the same place every time. I don't know if somebody showed me or I saw it myself, but I see my name written on the stand, right? Because the stands are black, but you can write on a pencil and you can read it, right? People write on the stands all the time. And they wrote my name and they said, Marquise is gay and some other stuff, right? And when I tell you I was crying, I was crying. Oh my goodness, Miss Wilkerson was like, oh, it's okay. I was just crying. I was just crying. Girl, I used to cry, honey. I used to cry, cry, cry. But I just thought about that when I thought about the hate comments and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay. But and that same feeling occurred. But now I know my intentions and I know what I'm doing and what I'm trying to do. So I'm no longer really, it don't really get to me like that no more, right? Because it's not founded on anything. If the first of all, I don't think any I guess visceral hate for something is ever founded by anything, right? It's maybe it is founded by ignorance or choosing to be ignorant, but I don't believe that there's a factual reason of why you can hate something or hate somebody, because hate is a strong word. Really, you're telling me you would persecute an entire community, or you would persecute this person for what they do and what they, baby? I don't have that much anger in me. Now I can, don't get me wrong, people, we can get angry, but I've been angry my entire life that I can't just be willy nilly and like angry all the time. You really got to be bothering me for me to be angry. Okay, these dogs. I got 2 dogs. When I tell you, the motherfuckers right there. Right, please, God, please, please. Oh, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. But let me stay on topic, okay? Yes, I had a drinking problem. I don't drink anymore. I had to understand that first of all, drinking ain't healthy, right? It's not a good coping mechanism, but it wasn't really solving the problem. So why am I still doing it? What solves the problem is creating these podcast episodes, you know, finding myself, enthralled in my own life and dedicating more of my life to myself. I was always serving other people. And no matter what nobody else says, I was doing that with my entire heart. My entire high school, even when I was, in the military early on, I was still devoting the entirety of my being to other people. Now I'm living my own life and I've never, felt any better. I feel so much more alive. I feel free. I'm able to make decisions and, you know, the decision that I make is a reflection of the consequences that I did, Every action has a consequence. So I'm glad that I can go through this process and learn and just experience life a whole different way. It's like I had my eyes shut for the beginning of my, I guess, existence. Like I had my eyes closed, Because when I finally opened them, I was like, okay, now this is what life feels like, instead of living it for everybody else. Nobody should have that much power over how you feel, what goes on in your daily life and in anything, right? Nobody should have that much control over that. But to flip that around, we need to be around people. We need to have a community. We need people that we can lean on and talk to, and, you know, still have our own space, still have our own time to ourselves. But for this podcast episode, I feel like I was all over the place. But I just wanted it to be about your worth and how important it is that we take time to do things that we want to do, that we have, time to ourselves, because we can get stuck sometimes in a loop, in a cycle of constantly doing the same thing. And it's difficult to just leave. It's hard. Our bodies want to maintain the lifestyle that we've been living before, even if it's not healthy, because we know what works, and that's what's been working for us. There's no reason for me to go out here and try something different. Who knows what could happen? Who knows how I could get hurt? That road that you're traveling, I'll see that same pine tree over and over and over in that circle. It's a bit comforting. But sometimes we need to see roses. Sometimes we need to see, bodies of water. Our entire life can't be looking at a pine tree, the same pine tree going in circles. You're worthy of seeing the entire world. You're worthy of seeing everything and everyone. You're worthy of that. Another challenge that I spoke about before was the fact that me asking for help, or people being in a place of helping me, I kind of felt like bad, like that people had to go out of their way to help me. And like I said before, be okay with that. It's okay that people have to go out of their way for you. You deserve that. I deserve that. I told myself, I said, you're going to therapy, right? I talked to y'all about when I went to therapy, and for some reason we lost contact while I was transitioning here. Then I decided, you know what? I think I need to go another route. And I did. And I'm still going to therapy in a different way. But regardless, I'm still choosing to deal with my issues. And I'm not pointing the finger at other people anymore. I got a phone call, and I talked about my mother on my last podcast episode. I talked about how she called me, and she just came back into my life out of nowhere. And I didn't really, know how to feel, I guess. But she asked me, was I angry about stuff? Because she remembers that I was angry. I was angry all the time. And she asked me, was I still angry about the stuff that happened to me when I was little? And I said, no, I'm not angry anymore. I'm not angry anymore. But you're worth every bad day, every draining and difficult day. You're worth it all. And despite what nobody tells you, or despite what everybody tells you, right? Because there's days where people will be all up in your face about your life, what you should be doing, how you should be living it. And then there's days where you're the only person. There's nobody else checking on you. There's nobody here but you. but you're worth it. And as I, conclude and end this podcast, I just want to say that I'm so grateful. I'm so happy that I get to experience life the way I'm experiencing it, and that I am worthy. So like I see at the end of every podcast episode, I give thanks to the utmost, to the highest power God. I'm thankful for my friends and my family. I am truly, truly grateful. This is NTheRealestWay Podcast. Out. Some people, I know you're not a hillbilly. I know you're not a hillbilly. I know you're not a hillbilly. I'm just